HaShanah Tova, everybody. HaShanah Tova, a sweet and a happy new year to you all. Oh, do we ever need it? Do we ever need a good and a fulfilling new year, given what we've experienced during this past one? The worldwide Jewish community remains traumatized by the tragic, horrifying day of October 7th. We still endure the sorrow of hostages held captive in Gaza 1 year later. The Israel-Hamas war continues to rage. Now there's war in Lebanon. The death toll mounts. Missiles rain down on Israel from Iran. Anti-Semitism has surged in the United States and around the world since October 7th. Anti-Israel hate and demonstrations shockingly overtook numerous college campuses this past year, including at some of our country's most prestigious institutions and universities. If that weren't enough to contend with, many people are anxious about the upcoming election. Our country remains deeply polarized. Culture wars continue unabated. And in Europe, Ukraine remains a battlefield. It's enough to lead one to despair. Yet each and every Jewish New Year cradles the promise of new beginnings and a wiser approach to living. We see it as a time to start again with new goals, new dreams, and a new spirit for a fresh chapter in our lives. You and I may enter a new year with hope in our hearts. And in this new year in particular, because of all that we've endured this past year, perhaps we need to cultivate hope even more. Especially in uncertain times, hope benefits us. Particularly in difficult times, hope can illuminate the darkness. Once I knew the depth where no hope was, and darkness lay on the face of all things, wrote Helen Keller. Now I know hope, I know joy. Nothing can be done without hope, she said. A few months back, to help nurture a realistic and a practical sense of hope for us in this new year, I turned to the teachings of a distinguished professor of psychology and psychiatry named William Miller, who'd recently published a book that I commend to you. It's called 8 Ways to Hope. I think we need 8 ways. In 8 Ways to Hope, William Miller writes, the essence of hope is envisioned betterment. Envisioned betterment. And it serves us well. It comes hardwired in human nature to dream a better future, helping us to carry on, helping us to survive. Yes, envisioning a better day, supporting us to persevere and endure. That is what we need in this new year. And thankfully, Judaism itself has been extending people hope for thousands of years. The Hebrew prophets gave hope to our people during their darkest of days. After the devastating fall of Jerusalem to Babylon over 2.5 millennia ago, when the first temple was destroyed, the Jewish exiles in Babylon were feeling utterly hopeless, cut off from their land and their society and everything that they knew. Our people even felt abandoned by God. It is at this lowest point, this nadir, that the prophet Ezekiel gave the Jewish people an iconic vision of renewal. Ezekiel pictured a valley of dry bones, lifeless and desolate. And then God assured Ezekiel that they would be invigorated and restored to life. In his famous vision of the dry bones, Ezekiel hears God saying to the hopeless people, "I will put my spirit in you, and you shall live again. You shall live again." God and the prophet Ezekiel offered hope and envisioned that better day, which, by the way, did come for the people of Ezekiel's time. They returned to their homeland, and the temple in Jerusalem was rebuilt. The incomparable prophet Isaiah said to the forlorn Jewish people of his day, "They who hope in the eternal will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." I remember singing these uplifting words in high school, in our school's choir, and it gave me goosebumps at the time. Isaiah's message taught me as a mere teenager that untapped reservoirs of strength and resilience were available to people who had hope. They who hope in the eternal will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Bit of hyperbole, to be sure, yet still true. Still true. Untapped reservoirs of strength and resilience are within us when hope is in our hearts. Interestingly enough, the Hebrew word Isaiah used for hope is vikoye, the very root letters of the Hebrew word tikva, as in Hatikva, the Israeli national anthem, which of course means the hope. We are a people of hope, not a false hope or naivete or denying reality. No, no. Ours is a hope born of possibility. It's a hope that's rooted in the confidence that certain goals and aspirations that we have are indeed achievable and they are possible. And seeing possibility is one of the 8 ways to hope, according to Dr. William Miller. In his book, Miller cites the hard-won wisdom of Jane Addams. Who's heard of Jane Addams? You may have heard. Oh my goodness, I'm very impressed. I had to look it up. According to Wikipedia, Jane Addams was a pioneering 20th century American social worker. She advocated for women's rights, immigrant rights, public health initiatives, labor reform, and child welfare. Jane Addams, I discovered, was the first woman awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1931. And Adam once asked, what, after all, has maintained the human race, despite all the calamities of nature and all the tragic failings of humankind, if not faith in new possibilities and courage to advocate for them? Faith in possibilities, such as the gift of hope. Hope gives us that courage and the strength and the vision to realize what can be in our lives. Whatever challenges we may face, whatever setbacks or adversity we may encounter, whatever crises or difficulty that come our way, it is our hope for the possibility of goodness or betterment that carries us through. Whether it's a challenge in our personal lives or a difficulty within our family, whether it's adversity and conflict within our society, or crisis in our country or in the world, Hope empowers us to meet the challenges. Hope motivates us to keep going. It encourages us to move forward, heading toward our horizons. Can hope guarantee the result we want? Of course not. Hope most certainly cannot promise us the outcomes that we seek. That belongs to false hope. Yet what hope can do is give us that courage, give us that strength, give us that wisdom, that creativity, that way of looking at things differently, and giving us that vision of a brighter day. Hope lets us choose what it is that we seek, what it is that we desire, and it inspires us to contribute our efforts toward its realization, even though the outcome is not guaranteed. I want peace in the Middle East, fervently. I imagine you do too. And even though that seems profoundly hard to achieve right now, there are things right now that I can do and that you can do and that many people can do in this world to contribute to this worthy and this crucial aspiration, which we'll talk more about at Yom Kippur. Even if we cannot guarantee the outcome of our efforts, we can still contribute to the possible realization of peace one day. Hope allows us to imagine and explore those possibilities. Hope allows us to choose that which we seek and contribute to its realization without guarantee. And those are 2 of the 8 ways to hope, according to William Miller. If you're wondering what the other 6 ways are, and I'll do it real quick and encourage you to read the book. The other 6 ways of hope are to be open to facts and probabilities, to be optimistic and emphasize the positive, to give other people the benefit of the doubt, to derive hope from our own sense of meaning and purpose. When faced with obstacles, to persevere and find new routes to your destination. And finally, to choose to be hopeful, refusing to succumb to hopelessness and despair, even when all hope seems exhausted. I'd like to underscore that last foundational insight about hope, and then I want to leave you with a blessing. That key finding of Miller's extensive research on hope is that hope is a choice that we make. It's a conscious act of will, a way of looking at an uncertain future. Hope is a perspective that we take, that we choose to take, a lens through which we choose to look to the horizons of our lives. We can choose to look at an uncertain future with hope and with optimism. Or we can choose to see that same unknown with fear and with pessimism. Ultimately, that choice is ours and ours alone to make. So to inspire you to choose a brighter future and a better day, and to work toward it at the start of this new year, I leave you with the words of modern Israeli poet David Rokeach. Rokeach says, "Glory, glory to those who hope, for the future is theirs. Those who stand unflinching against the mountain shall gain its summit. so hopes the river, running to the sea to fulfill its dreams in the crash of waters. So longs the tree, branching skyward, at last to touch the palm of sun. Rokiach says, therefore we love dawn as a promise of day, the nightingale's love song as a longing for birth, the flowing of streams as the beat of drums made real, streams cutting channels for rivers of the future, and never growing weary. Sounds like he's paraphrasing Isaiah there. Rivers of the future, never growing weary. And all who join hands, he says, all who join hands, trusting creation, these are the companions of hope. Forge then the vision of days to come. Form dreams of faithfulness. So with faithfulness for a better day, wishing you and your loved ones and the world a good, a blessed, and a peaceful, healthy, and happy new year. Shana Tova, everybody.